She mocked me, laughed at me, told our son I was worthless. So I walked out without a sound. But what she didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything. This is the story of how I lost everything and then took it all back. My hand was still trembling when I dropped the kitchen knife. Not from fear, from pain. I'd sliced it deep, accidentally, while chopping vegetables for the anniversary dinner I'd spent all week planning. The one she said she didn't care about. The one I begged her to let me make special. Just give me one night, I'd said. Just dinner, just us. She had rolled her eyes. Still, I cooked. One-handed. Bandaged and paper towels. I stood in that tiny apartment kitchen sweating through a button-up shirt she once said she liked. It barely fit now. I'd gained weight in the last year. Stress. She reminded me of it often. You're letting yourself go, she said once while brushing her teeth. But tonight, I was trying. Despite the pulsing throb in my hand, I plated the steaks perfectly. Lit candles. Even printed a stupid little menu card that said 5 years of us. She walked in 15 minutes late. A McDonald's bag in her hand. She didn't even glance at the table. Just tossed her purse on the couch, unwrapped a burger, and looked me up and down like I was something she'd stepped in. Then she laughed. God, even your food looks as pathetic as you do. My throat tightened. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, frozen, while ketchup from her burger dripped onto the couch cushion. And then, God help me, she turned to our 6-year-old son and said the words that burned themselves into my skull. Sweetie, promise Mommy you'll never end up like Daddy. Some men are just born losers. He didn't even flinch. He just nodded, like he already knew. I don't remember much after that. I know I packed up the dinner quietly. I know I watched them both eat those greasy burgers while the candles burned down to wax puddles. I didn't eat, didn't say a word, just sat there while the sound of her laughing at TikToks filled the room. And today, my phone blew up with 13 missed calls from her. She's panicking. Because I'm gone. Not just left the apartment gone. No, I left. And I didn't leave a note. Because the note is what comes next. The truth. The twist. The part where everything flips. But that's not this part. This is just the beginning. This is the part where she thought she won. And I let her think it. I let her mock me. Shame me. Teach our son I was worthless. Because sometimes silence is more terrifying than screaming. And I wanted her scared. I wanted her confused. I wanted her to feel exactly how I did, powerless, invisible, discarded. I'm not a vengeful person. I don't scream. I don't hit. I don't throw things. But I remember. And I plan. So when her calls kept coming voicemail after voicemail, I just sat back, listened, and smiled. Because I had all the time in the world. And she? She had no idea what was coming. The first thing I did was shut off my location sharing. Second thing, I went quiet. No texts. No posts. No online activity at all. The silence drove her crazy faster than I expected. By day 2, she messaged my best friend, pretending to be worried. Said I was acting unstable. Claimed she was just trying to keep our son safe. Right. I watched all of it play out from a cheap motel room 40 minutes outside the city. Curtains drawn. Phone on silent. Just me, a burner laptop, and the folder I had been quietly compiling for months. A folder called Proof, Open When Ready. She didn't know about that. She thought I was dumb. She thought I never noticed the little things. Her phone always flipped down when I walked in. Her giggle during late-night work calls. The unfamiliar cologne on her hoodie when she came home from running errands. But I noticed, and I didn't confront her. Because I knew what she'd say. What she always said. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things again. God, you're exhausting. So I stopped arguing. And I started recording. I bought a $30 camera on Amazon and tucked it behind the bookshelf. Got audio too. Synced to my cloud drive. She never saw it. Even when she danced half-naked on FaceTime while our son napped on the couch. Even when she laughed with some guy named Tony about how she only stayed with me for free rent and babysitting. Even when she said, and this one nearly broke me. I swear, if he got hit by a bus tomorrow, I'd sleep like a baby. It's funny how pain sharpens focus. I clipped the footage. Archived every video. Every call. Every disgusting word. And then I waited. See, people like her? They never think you'll leave. They drain you dry, emotionally, financially, spiritually, then act shocked when you finally stop bleeding. The morning after I left, she posted a selfie of herself in bed with the caption, "Nothing better than peace and silence." She had no idea I'd already contacted a lawyer. No idea I'd started paperwork. No idea I had leverage. But I wasn't ready to use it. Not yet. I wanted to see how deep this rabbit hole went. I wanted to know, without me, what would she do? How would she spin it? What story would she tell our son? Our families? Herself? Turns out, the answer was simple. She played the victim. By day 4, she was posting quotes like, "Some people just can't handle a strong woman." By day 5, I got a call from her sister. She's crying. Says you just abandoned them. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because while she was crying on the phone to her sister, she was texting Tony, saying, "Guess who's finally gone?" That message got automatically backed up to the shared tablet our son used for school, which was still synced to her iMessage. Oops. It was almost too easy. By day 6, she started panicking. My paycheck hadn't hit the account. I had pulled my direct deposit, closed the joint card, changed my security settings. She went to the grocery store and her card got declined. She called me screaming. I didn't pick up. Instead, I listened to the voicemail. "How dare you do this to your son? I hope you're happy, you selfish." Delete. Then came the texts. First angry, then pleading, then something worse, threatening. "If you don't come back, I'll make sure you never see your son again." That one hit different, but not for the reason she hoped. Because I had already filed for emergency custody. With evidence, I had already handed the drive to my attorney. And you know what they said? "This is more than enough. She's done." I sat there in the motel room, staring at the flickering light bulb, thinking about how strange it all felt. This woman who once kissed my forehead while I slept, now plotting to erase me from my son's life. And still, I waited. Because I wanted one more thing. One final moment. I wanted her to realize she never really had the power. And that moment was coming. Faster than she knew. The courtroom smelled like lemon cleaner and fear. She sat across from me, all dolled up in that fake, put-together outfit, pearls, blazer, hair in a neat bun. The kind of look that screams, "I'm a responsible mother," to a judge. Except, her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Because she saw the file. My lawyer dropped it on the table like it weighed 1,000 pounds. A simple USB in a plastic bag labeled Exhibit A, Full Custody Request. Her eyes darted to me. I didn't blink. She didn't know what was on that drive. Not exactly. But she knew it was bad. She knew it was real. For months, she had built this illusion that I was unstable, unreliable, that I just gave up and ran. That she had no idea why I left, that I was going through a mental breakdown. And everyone believed her. Her friends, our neighbors, even her parents. But now? Now a judge was watching her squirm while my lawyer calmly explained the contents of the drive. "Your Honor, we have over 90 hours of video and audio evidence documenting verbal and emotional abuse, gaslighting, and neglect, all occurring in front of the minor." He paused. Let it sink in. "We also have documented proof of infidelity, substance abuse, and inappropriate conversations conducted within earshot of the child." The silence in the room was deafening. Even the bailiff looked uncomfortable. She tried to speak, opened her mouth, closed it again. She looked at her own attorney, eyes wide, begging. But he just leaned over and whispered something that made her face go white. I knew what he said, because we had offered her a deal. Drop the custody fight. No court. No records. We walk away, shared custody, clean slate. She refused. She thought I was bluffing. She thought I was soft. No? She knew. The judge glanced between us, then cleared her throat. "This is substantial. I'll need time to review. But for now, temporary custody will be granted to Mr. Whitaker. Visitation rights will be limited, pending further review." Her chair creaked as she flinched. The words hit her like a slap. I didn't smile. Not because I wasn't satisfied, but because this wasn't a win. This was a shield. A shield between her chaos and my son's peace. As we left the room, I could hear her crying, sobbing into her hands like she was the victim. Like she hadn't humiliated me, mocked me, taught our son that I was worthless. And now? Now she couldn't hide behind closed doors. The court had seen the truth. But that wasn't even the best part. Because as we walked outside, my lawyer leaned over and whispered, "We've got more. If she pushes this, we go nuclear." And I smiled. Because nuclear was ready. And she had no idea what was still buried under the surface. See, the camera behind the bookshelf? It wasn't the only one. You'd think after court she'd back off. You'd think after almost losing custody, she'd play it safe. Act careful. Keep her distance. But abusers don't stop when they're caught. They panic. They scramble. They get sloppy. And she got very sloppy. 3 days after court, I got an email. No subject line. Just a single attachment. Security footage. From the daycare. She was late picking up our son, again. But this time she wasn't just late. She was drunk. Stumbling. Slurring. And when they told her she couldn't take him in that condition, she exploded. Screamed at the staff. Kicked a garbage can. Threw her coffee at the wall. And right in front of 3 kids, including ours, she shouted, "I own him. That boy is mine. You think his loser father deserves him? You people are all F-ing stupid." The file came from a friend of mine who worked IT for the daycare chain. He sent it quietly. No words. Didn't need any. That same night, she texted me like nothing happened. "Hope you're ready to return him tomorrow. He misses me." I didn't respond. Instead, I saved the file. Labeled it Exhibit B, Unfit Pickup Attempt. But here's where it gets wild. The next morning, she did show up. At my apartment. Early. Without warning. She stood there, sunglasses on, hoodie up, eyes twitching. "Let me take him to the park," she said, voice sweet like poison. I didn't open the door. Just said through the intercom, calm as ever. "Visitation is court-regulated. Contact your attorney." Her mask slipped instantly. From sweet to psychotic in under 5 seconds. "You think you've won? You think this is over? You're nothing without me." I muted the mic. Let her scream at the empty hallway. And the best part? The hallway camera caught it all. Because, yeah, there was a second camera. Hidden in the fire alarm casing right above my door. Motion activated. Audio. HD. She never saw it. Never even looked. Too busy yelling about how I ruined her life to notice she was handing me more evidence. Later that day, my lawyer called. "We're submitting it all. Daycare footage. Doorstep tirade." She just ended her own case. But I wasn't celebrating. Not yet. Because this wasn't just about custody. This was about rebuilding my life from the ground up. One brick at a time. And every brick she threw at me, I picked it up. Logged it. Filed it. She thought she was burying me. But I was building something. Stronger. Unshakable. Permanent. That night, I tucked my son into bed. He asked if mommy was mad. I said, "No, buddy. She's just loud sometimes." He nodded. Then whispered, "I like the quiet here." I sat there in the dark, hand on his back, and something inside me clicked. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't war. This was freedom. And every time she opened her mouth, she handed me the keys. One voicemail. One text. One tantrum at a time. I didn't need to fight her. I just needed to let her be herself. I should have known she'd try something public. She couldn't stand losing in silence. So when she went live on Instagram, I wasn't surprised. What surprised me was how far she took it. Hair perfectly curled. Makeup flawless. That same sugary sweet voice she used on waiters and cashiers when she wanted something for free. The video started with fake tears. I never wanted to do this, but I need to speak my truth. I watched in real time as hundreds of her followers poured in. People we went to school with. Mutual friends. Strangers who only knew her through filtered vacation selfies and curated couple photos. "He left us," she whispered. "He abandoned his family. Just walked out one day and took my baby." She sniffled, paused, waited for sympathy comments to roll in. They did. "OMG, I'm so sorry. How could a father do that? You're so strong." Then she went further. "He's unstable. He's always been unstable. Controlling. Emotionally cold. I was scared of him." That was the moment I hit record screen. Because I knew exactly where this was going. He hacked my phone. He's stalking me. Watching me. He planted cameras. Can you believe that? Cameras. In our house. It's sick. And just like that, she buried herself. My lawyer called me 20 minutes later. "Did you catch the live?" I sent him the recording. She just admitted the cameras existed. No coercion. No edits. No setup. This is gold. But I wasn't celebrating. Because that same night, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One video. No message. At first, I thought it was spam. Then I watched it. It was a clip from months ago. Me. Sitting on the couch. Head in my hands. Clearly upset. She was filming me through the crack in the door. Her voice, quiet and mocking. "Look at him. Mr. Man of the house. Can't even handle life." Then laughter. Her laughter. And someone else's voice in the background. "A man. Tony," he said. "Think he'll cry if you push him harder?" She laughed harder. The video ended there. I stared at my screen, hands shaking, not with rage, but with something colder. Clarity. She wasn't just abusive. She enjoyed it. This wasn't just manipulation. This was sport. She filmed my lowest moment and used it as entertainment. Sent it to Tony like a trophy. And now? Now that I had custody, now that the mask had cracked, she was trying to flip the script. Make herself the victim. She didn't understand. You can lie to the world all you want. But not forever. Not when the truth is recorded. Archived. Timestamped. That video she leaked? It was added to the custody file. Because if she was filming me without consent, if she was mocking my mental health, how could she claim to be afraid? How could she argue abuse when she was the one laughing? The next day, her lawyer called mine. A private meeting was requested. Off the record. Face to face. I agreed. Not because I wanted to see her, but because I wanted to see what she'd say now. And I'll never forget what happened in that room. They booked a neutral office space. White walls. Fake plants. One long glass table that felt too cold, too clean, like a surgery room for conversations you don't come back from. She was already there when I arrived. No pearls this time. No blazer. Just a hoodie and makeup that looked slept in. She didn't even look up. Just sat there twiddling a ring she hadn't worn in months. The one I gave her when things were still good. When I still thought forever was a choice we both made. Her lawyer greeted mine with a quiet handshake. We're hoping for a resolution. I sat down across from her. She finally looked at me. But the performance was gone. No fake tears. No breathy voice. Just hollow. I didn't say a word. She started. I was scared. My lawyer raised an eyebrow. She kept going. Not of you. Of myself. Of losing everything. I made mistakes, okay? Big ones. I was angry. I was hurt. I acted out. I stared at her. Silence. She shifted. I didn't mean for it to go this far. That's when I leaned forward, calm, flat voice. You said you'd sleep like a baby if I got hit by a bus. Her face flushed. That wasn't. I didn't know you'd hear that. I smiled. I wasn't supposed to. That's when it hit her. She didn't regret saying it. She regretted getting caught. She started to cry then. The real kind. Sloppy. Ugly. Uncontrolled. Not for me. Not even for our son. For herself. She whispered. I don't want to lose him. And for a second, I felt something. Not sympathy. Not forgiveness. Just the ache of wasted time. The years I spent loving a version of her that never existed. My lawyer spoke then. We have an offer. One time only. He slid the folder across the table. Full custody remains with the father. Supervised visits twice monthly. No legal pursuit of emotional damages. No restraining order. But if this is contested again, we go public. The video, the daycare incident, the live stream, all of it. Her hand shook as she opened the folder. I watched her read. Watched her realize how badly she'd lost. She didn't argue. Didn't beg. Just sat there. Small. Quiet. Shrinking into the hoodie like she could disappear. Then, softly. Did he ask about me? Our son. I waited a beat, then told the truth. He asked if the quiet meant you were gone for good. That broke her. She nodded, eyes full of something that almost looked like clarity. Okay, she said. Okay. And that was it. No screaming. No courtroom finale. Just a whisper of surrender in a rented room that smelled like lemon disinfectant and regret. When I walked out, the sun hit different. Like the air wasn't heavy anymore. Like I wasn't bracing for the next punch. But here's the thing about closure. It doesn't always feel like victory. Sometimes it just feels quiet. And that quiet? That was everything. Please. That's all it said. No punctuation. No name. Just that one word, from a number I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was. 3 weeks had passed since the mediation. Supervised visitation was set. Our son had started sleeping through the night again. No more nightmares. No more asking why mommy screamed so much. Things were quiet. Peaceful. And then she texted. Please. I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, another one came. You don't have to respond. I messed everything up. I know that. But I need to tell you something. Something you didn't know. That part? That got me. Because what could she possibly know that I hadn't already seen? I had the videos. The texts. The daycare meltdown. The live stream. What was left? I waited an hour. Thought maybe she'd move on. Give up. She didn't. The next message came just as I was putting my son to bed. Check your email. Subject line. Tony. You need to see it. Then you'll understand why I was the way I was. Against my better judgment, I checked. And there it was. A chain of emails between her and Tony going back 3 years. I started reading, and my stomach dropped. This wasn't just some casual fling. Tony wasn't just a side piece. He was planned. There was a thread labeled exit strategy. Drafts of fake messages she had prepared months in advance, stuff she never sent, but kept. If I say he's unstable, people will believe it. He's too quiet. No one ever hears his side. I'll tell my mom he's controlling. I've already been planting seeds. You think I could get custody? I want him out, but I need to make it clean. Every message twisted tighter around my ribs. Because this wasn't heartbreak. This was calculated. The live stream? Planned. The meltdown? Weaponized. Even the he planted cameras narrative? She'd rehearsed it with Tony. There was a literal script. She had always expected me to leave eventually. So she built the story before I even walked out. And then, the last email. Sent just 2 days before the custody hearing. I can't do this anymore. He's not who I said he is. He never was. And now I think I'm the monster. Tony didn't reply. That was the final email in the thread. Just silence. That night, I sat in the dark, watching my son breathe as he slept. And for the first time in months, I cried. Not because I missed her. Not because I felt betrayed. But because I realized I had lived with a person who had no concept of love, only control, only strategy, only survival at any cost. And I had once called that person home. The next morning, I got another message. From a different number. No name again. But this one said, "You think it's over? You don't know anything about me." That one wasn't from her. That was Tony. I stared at that message for a full 5 minutes. You think it's over? You don't know anything about me. No name. Just a burner number. But I didn't need confirmation. Tony. The man who laughed at me from my own hallway. The voice behind her recorded cruelty. The name that came up again and again in those emails. The one she kept whispering after court, when she thought I wasn't listening. I always assumed he was just a side fling. But now? Now it felt different. Calculated. Coordinated. I ran the number through a tracing app. Disposable VoIP line. Rerouted through a server in another state. But the area code, familiar. My state. So he was close. Or had been. A minute later, another message came. You took something that wasn't yours. I blinked. Confused. Then it hit me. He wasn't talking about her. He was talking about my son. That's when the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Because this wasn't just a petty ex-lover poking the bear. This was personal. Possessive. Creepy. And suddenly everything made more sense. The way she escalated when I pulled custody. The desperation in her eyes during mediation. Not because she loved her son. Because she was afraid. Of Tony. I scrolled back to the final email she'd sent him. I think I'm the monster. No. She wasn't. He was. The string she pulled? He held the other end. That night I changed every password, double-checked every lock, enabled two-factor on everything I owned. I didn't tell my lawyer. Not yet. Because I needed more. If Tony was willing to threaten me directly, he'd slip up eventually. And when he did, I'd be ready. I set up alerts on every data breach and local law enforcement feed. And within 2 days, I got my first hit. A name. Anthony K. Drayton. Charged 5 years ago with harassment, then dropped due to insufficient evidence. Restraining order violation. Dropped again. Ex-girlfriend filed a report. Then disappeared from social media entirely. I clicked through old court logs. And my blood ran cold. The woman's name? The same one I saw in a group photo on her Facebook, years ago. Old college friends. Buried deep. But there it was. He wasn't some new flame. He'd been in her orbit for years. Waiting. Lurking. Manipulating. And I realized something even worse. She didn't just find Tony. She was groomed by him. He built her anger like a weapon. Fueled it. Shaped it. Directed it at me. And when she cracked, he stepped in. Told her what to say. What to do. How to burn me down clean. But when she failed, when she broke, he turned his attention to me. And maybe to my son. The next morning, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a USB. I plugged it in, half expecting malware. What I found instead was a recording. Audio only. Her voice. Panicked. Whispering. If he finds out I told you, he'll come for me. You think I was bad? I was scared. He made me believe you were the enemy. He told me if I didn't push you out, he'd take care of it himself. He said accidents happen. The file ended there. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding. This wasn't over. This was just beginning. And Tony? He wasn't hiding anymore. By morning, I had the file. Tony wasn't just some smooth-talking side piece with a gym membership and a loud mouth. He had a record. Not a big one, not flashy, but enough. 2 prior charges, harassment and misdemeanor assault. Both dropped before trial. Both tied to exes. Both sealed, unless someone looked hard enough. My lawyer looked. And we found something else, a restraining order. Filed 2 years ago. Denied due to lack of sufficient proof. But the woman had filed a sworn affidavit, and it was buried in the public archives. I read it 3 times. Every word felt familiar. He was charming at first, then possessive. He didn't like when I talked to other men, not even my boss. He told me I was his, that no one else would want me. Sounded like someone I knew. Someone who had whispered in my ex's ear until she started to believe I was the problem. I didn't tell her what I found. Not yet. I didn't need to. Because 2 days later, she called me. First time in weeks. No lawyer. No scheduled visitation. Just her voice, raw and tight. He's showing up at my work. Silence. He sent flowers to the front desk. I didn't tell him where I worked. I never told him. And there it was. She wasn't scared of me. She was scared of him. I let her talk. She told me how it started. How he made her feel wanted. Seen. How he encouraged her to break free from me. How he helped her write the live stream script. And then how it shifted. He says I owe him. That he defended me when no one else did. That I belong to him now. For the first time since this nightmare began. I felt pity. Not forgiveness. But something like understanding. She had manipulated me, yes. Humiliated me, absolutely. But she was still trapped. Still stuck in the same sick pattern she had created for herself. Using men like lifeboats, then realizing too late they were also drowning. She asked me a question then. Quiet. Hesitant. Do you think I deserve this? I could have said yes. I could have reminded her of everything. The things she said. The way she laughed. The lies she planted. But instead, I said this. I think you need to stop confusing attention with love. She didn't speak for a long time. And then she whispered. I'm sorry. Not the dramatic kind. Not a performance. Just the kind you say when you're too tired to lie anymore. I didn't tell her I forgave her. I didn't say it was okay. I just told her what she needed to hear. I'm going to make sure our son is safe. And if you really want to be in his life, you need to do the same for you. Not for me. She asked if I'd send her Tony's record. I already had it printed. Ready. I left it with the front desk of her building under a fake name. No note. She'd know it was from me. And that was enough. That night, I sat by my window and watched the rain hit the glass. I thought about what it meant to win. To beat someone like her. To expose someone like Tony. And I realized that wasn't what this was about anymore. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want them to fall. I just wanted to walk away without looking over my shoulder ever again. And in the stillness of that moment, I realized. I already had. Tony disappeared. Not literally, but from her life, from her messages, from her socials. Gone. No goodbye. No fight. Just silence. I don't know if it was the file I gave her. Or maybe he sensed the spotlight coming and ducked before it hit him. Either way, it didn't matter. She blocked his number. Deleted every trace. Even changed her locks, moved apartments. She never told me where. I didn't ask. We spoke once more after that. Brief. Quiet. It was a Wednesday. She called just before our son's scheduled visit. Can I talk to you? Just for a minute. No drama. I agreed. We met at a small coffee shop, far from where we used to live. She looked different. No makeup. Hair tied back. Hoodie and jeans. Not like someone hiding. More like someone who'd stopped pretending. She didn't waste time. I'm not fighting custody anymore. I blinked. What? You're better for him right now. I know that. I need to figure myself out. For real this time. And then she did something I didn't expect. She handed me a small envelope. Handwritten. Unsealed. I opened it right there. Inside was a letter. For our son. Short. Honest. Scared. I love you, and I'm sorry for everything I made loud when you needed quiet. I'm going to work hard to be the kind of person you deserve in your life someday. But for now, I'll love you from afar. I read it twice. And for the first time in a long time. I believed her. Not completely. Not blindly. But enough. When I looked up, she was crying. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just still. And that's when I realized. She had finally let go. Of the performance. Of the games. Of the need to win. Maybe it was shame. Maybe it was growth. Maybe just exhaustion. But she let go first. And in doing so, she gave me the one thing I'd wanted this whole time. Peace. We parted with no hug. No handshake. Just a nod. And understanding. The next 6 months passed quietly. Our son flourished. He laughed more. Slept better. Asked less. I gave him space to heal without feeding him bitterness. Because I didn't want him to inherit my scars. One day, he asked if he could send Mommy a drawing. I said yes. He picked a blue crayon and drew 3 stick figures, me, him, and her. We mailed it. No note. Just that. A child's version of forgiveness. Simple. Pure. And maybe that's how healing really begins. Not with a courtroom. Not with revenge. But with a crayon, a letter, and silence. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe she'll come back stronger. Maybe not. But I do know this. I'm not afraid of her anymore. And that's the ending I never thought I'd get. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just free.